The Roman Empire was a vast and influential ancient civilization that ruled over a significant portion of the world, including the Mediterranean, Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. It transitioned from a republic to an empire with the rise of Augustus Caesar in 27 BC, and the Western Empire ultimately fell in 476 AD, while the Eastern Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, continued until the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Latin and Greek were the main languages of the empire. Rome started as a small city-state in Italy and gradually expanded through military conquests, eventually controlling a vast territory. Before becoming an empire, Rome was governed by a republic, where citizens elected officials and the Senate played a significant role in decision-making. The empire began with Augustus Caesar, who became the first emperor, and the power shifted towards a single ruler, though the Senate still had some influence. Rome had begun expanding shortly after the founding of the Roman Republic in the 6th century BC, though not outside the Italian peninsula until the 3rd century BC. Thus, it was an empire or a great power long before it had an emperor. The Republic was not a nation-state in the modern sense, but a network of self-ruled towns, with varying degrees of independence from the Senate, and provinces administered by military commanders. It was governed by annually elected magistrates, Roman consuls above all, in conjunction with the Senate. The 1st century BC was a time of political and military upheaval, which ultimately led to rule by emperors. The consul's military power rested in the Roman legal concept of imperium, meaning command, typically in a military sense. Occasionally, successful consuls or generals were given the honorary title imperator, commander. This is the origin of the word emperor, since this title was always bestowed to the early emperors. Rome suffered a long series of internal conflicts, conspiracies, and civil wars from the late 2nd century BC, see Crisis of the Roman Republic, while greatly extending its power beyond Italy. In 44 BC Julius Caesar was briefly perpetual dictator. Julius Caesar was a Roman general, politician, and writer who played a key role in the transformation of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Born in 100 BCE into a patrician family, he rose to power through military success, notably in the Gallic Wars, which expanded Rome's territory and boosted his popularity. Julius Caesar, Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, and Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, a successful general and politician, also known as Pompey, formed the first triumvirate. This alliance dominated Roman politics for nearly a decade, influencing elections and legislation. It ultimately dissolved due to internal conflicts. His crossing of the Rubicon River in 49 BCE led to a civil war against his rival Pompey. His reforms centralized power and improved governance, but his growing authority alarmed many senators. On March 15, 44 BCE, he was assassinated by a group of conspirators, including Brutus and Cassius, that opposed his concentration of power. His death marked the end of the Roman Republic and set the stage for the rise of the Roman Empire under his adopted heir, Octavian. In 43 BC, Antony, Octavian and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate and divided the Roman world among themselves. Caesar's murderers were driven from Rome and defeated at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC by Mark Antony and Octavian. The triumvirs were granted extraordinary authority, including the ability to make laws and appoint magistrates. They split the Roman world into 3 areas of influence, and eventually, the triumvirate fractured, leading to conflict and the rise of Augustus as the first Roman emperor. Octavian's forces defeated those of Mark Antony and Cleopatra, his lover, at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. In 27 BC the Senate gave him the title Augustus, venerated, and made him princeps, foremost, with proconsular imperium, thus beginning the Principate, the first epoch of Roman imperial history. Although the Republic stood in name, Augustus had all meaningful authority. During his 40-year rule, a new constitutional order emerged so that, upon his death, Tiberius would succeed him as the new emperor. The 200 years that began with Augustus's rule is traditionally regarded as the Pax Romana, Roman peace. The cohesion of the empire was furthered by a degree of social stability and economic prosperity that Rome had never before experienced. Uprisings in the provinces were infrequent and put down mercilessly and swiftly. The success of Augustus in establishing principles of dynastic succession was limited by his outliving a number of talented potential heirs. The Julio-Claudian dynasty lasted for 4 more emperors: Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. Tiberius ruled from 14 to 37 CE. Born in 42 BCE, he was a successful military commander before reluctantly becoming emperor. Though capable and experienced, Tiberius was known for his withdrawn and often suspicious nature. His reign started effectively, with stable governance and respect for the Senate, but over time he became increasingly reclusive, especially after the death of his son Drusus. He eventually retired to the island of Capri, leaving much of the administration to his trusted but brutal advisor, Sejanus. Sejanus effectively ran the government, using his position to eliminate rivals and consolidate control. He orchestrated purges of senators and nobles under accusations of treason, fostering a climate of fear. His growing ambition alarmed Tiberius, who eventually turned against him. In 31 CE, Sejanus was arrested, executed, and his supporters purged. Tiberius eventually died in 37 CE, leaving behind a legacy of competent yet increasingly autocratic rule that set the tone for future emperors. Caligula ascended the Roman throne in 37 CE after the death of Emperor Tiberius. He was born Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus in 12 CE, ruling till 41 CE. He was the son of the popular general Germanicus and the great-nephew and adopted grandson of Emperor Tiberius. As a child, he accompanied his father on military campaigns and earned the nickname Caligula, Little Boots, from soldiers, making him a favorite among both the military and the Roman public. Initially welcomed as emperor for his family legacy and promises of reform, Caligula's reign soon became notorious for cruelty, extravagance, and alleged madness. He spent lavishly, declared himself a god, and was known for erratic and sometimes brutal behavior. His actions alienated the Senate and many in the military. In 41 CE, he was assassinated by members of the Praetorian Guard, ending one of the most controversial reigns in Roman history. After Caligula's assassination, the Praetorian Guard unexpectedly declared Claudius emperor, bypassing the Senate. He was the 4th Roman emperor, ruling from 41 to 54 CE. Born in 10 BCE, he was the uncle of Caligula and considered physically weak and intellectually unfit for leadership due to a limp and speech impediment. Despite initial doubts, Claudius proved to be an effective and capable ruler. He expanded the empire significantly, including the successful conquest of Britain in 43 CE, improved the bureaucracy, and strengthened the imperial administration. He was also a scholar and historian. Claudius married several times, and his last wife, Agrippina the Younger, is believed to have poisoned him in 54 CE to secure the throne for her son, Nero. Nero, the 5th Roman emperor, ruled from 54 to 68 CE, and is one of history's most infamous leaders. Born in 37 CE as Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, he was adopted by Emperor Claudius. Nero began his reign at age 16, initially guided by capable advisors like Seneca and Burrus. His early rule was relatively stable and popular, but as he gained more personal control, Nero became increasingly erratic and autocratic. He is best known for his extravagance, artistic ambitions, and persecution of Christians, especially after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE. Many believed he started the fire, though he blamed the Christians. He executed his mother, his wife, and many senators, fostering fear and instability. Rebellions eventually broke out, and in 68 CE, facing revolt and loss of support, Nero committed suicide, famously declaring, "What an artist dies in me." His rule marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty and ushered in a brief civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. For more interesting videos, click on any of the two in front of you. See you next time.